Welcome back for another video. Who are the best players to buy for GW29? It's a really quick turnaround this week, so we've got less time to think over what to do with a Tuesday deadline next. What do we do with Haaland? Is Wilson injured? Is Anderson out? So fresh off the back of all the games, we're going to break it down easy by position as always, and we'll look at the best players to buy this week. So goalkeepers first. And the best fixtures defensively will be Everton home to Burnley, Liverpool are away to Wolves, and Arsenal away to Brighton. Alisson and Pickford joint top this week. In Pickford's case, they do follow that Burnley game up with a really horrendous run of games, so Pickford's a hard avoid. They've got Arsenal, Chelsea and Liverpool in the next 5. Alisson looks great if you need a long-term keeper, or even just for the next 3 or 4 games until you wildcard. They've got Wolves, Spurs, Brighton, Fulham, Everton, Palace. Kelleher missed Brentford's last game due to becoming a dad, so there's no injury there, which is the good news. And he's on the table, he's expected to return in goal for the next match, which is Bournemouth away. What I'll do the next couple of players to buy videos is I'll also touch on which players are top, specifically up until Gameweek 31, given that the popular chip strategy is shaping up as a Gameweek 32 wildcard before the double Gameweek 33. We don't know yet who's going to double in Gameweek 33, that's going to be dictated by the FA Cup 5th round. That's played on the 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th of March. Well, that's when the Premier League teams play anyway, so it's not too long until we can step up our planning. The top goalkeeper for the next 3 game weeks is actually a 3-way tie between Kelleher, Leno and Alisson. Moving on to defenders. So yeah, it's Tarkowski top given that Burnley home fixture. Though as we were saying with Pickford, I would avoid him because you don't want to play him in any of the fixtures after Burnley. If you're in a position where you've already got Tarkowski or Pickford, then you're in a great spot this week. The main transfer target as far as defenders is Van Dijk. He's got 2 goals and assists in his last 3 games. He's the second most bought player around the world currently, with Ekitike number 1. Screenshot here is from the top transfers tool on the FPL Focal app, which is free. The only other defender on the most bought list is O'Reilly, who could actually be injured. We don't have a full update yet, but he did go off with some kind of injury, maybe his ankle. Anderson's the one who looks really appealing, but again now he's a doubt. Now I do recognise as well that Fulham don't keep lots of clean sheets, but the next 3 opponents are West Ham home, Forest away and Burnley home. And they rank 14th, 16th and 20th for non-penalty XG this season, or as far as actual goals scored, those next 3 opponents are 14th, 19th and 16th. He set DEFCON as 62% of games, 10.41 per 90, which ranks 4th best among all defenders. Now Anderson was absent from Fulham's squad in the game against Spurs, which they did go on to win 2-1. Marco Silva said it was due to illness, so that's better than an injury at least, just an illness. They do play again on Wednesday, so hopefully he's back for the West Ham home game midweek. Van Dijk is number 1 in terms of projected points among defenders for the next 3, and Anderson just behind is second, assuming that he's over that illness and starts in Wednesday's game. Senesi's in 3rd place, and he's worth a mention as well. He's got Brentford home and Burnley away, and then it's Man United home. Obviously that Gameweek 31 fixture not as appealing, Man United, but he's clearly a strong pick, as is his 4.1 mil counterpart Hill. If it is bad news on O'Reilly, then 8 Nori could be even more appealing. He's settling in now. He got an 11 pointer last game, 9 pointer a couple of games ago, but obviously it does depend on your team and whether you've got that scope to add a player that blanks in 31. We're all slightly different in terms of our team setup and some are on different chip strategies, so it's worth mentioning him. And lastly, just a few other defenders that rank well for the next 3 game weeks. Van den Berg is up there, Gudmundsson from Leeds and Konate. Let's have a more in-depth discussion on the mids and forwards. So, the top list this week is Salah and Dye, Bruno, Szoboszlai, Gakpo, Semenyo, Palmer and Wilson. Being a penalty taker is an often overlooked attribute in an FPL asset. And although Salah has been out of form, he does have that in his favour. All it takes is someone wins a penalty and he's got the extra 5 pointer, maybe bonus, and he does face rock bottom Wolves next. That all said, I wouldn't rush to buy Salah, unless, for example, Haaland's ruled out, or maybe you've got that scope to add Salah and you've already got Haaland and you fancy him as a short-term punt. It is 10 league games without a goal for Salah though, that's the longest run of his career. Bruno's a good example, going back to that penalty point. Cunha wins the penalty against Palace and then he finishes on 13 points with that assist, or 26 points if you captain him. It's going to be really hard to let Bruno go if they don't end up with a double Gameweek 33. I think he could even be an exception, just worth holding on to him given all the points he can make up elsewhere, even if it's in 1 fewer game. Everton are going to be sky high in confidence after taking 3 points away at Newcastle, And they host Burnley as well, the worst team for XGC, you know the story. It's a great fixture for Ndai. Well, likewise, if you've got a Dewsbury Hall or maybe a Ghana, you can certainly start them this week. I wouldn't be looking to buy those guys otherwise, especially the cheaper ones, unless they're part of they're an important part of a combination of transfers and you need that cheap enabler. 0.62 expected assists for Dewsbury Hall against Newcastle was actually the most of any player last game week. Ghana also a reliable source of defcons, less goal threat, both have got their appeal. Captaincy does look tricky though, like if it's not good news on Haaland. Bruno is third on the table here, 5.8 points, and he might end up the most popular depending on Haaland news. What caught me a little bit by surprise, I was looking at the top players in terms of the next 3 game week projections on FPL Review. The next 3 game weeks in isolation for those on the Game Week 32 wildcard strategy. Obviously it's the usual names, Salah, Bruno, Palmer, but in 4th place it's actually Szoboszlai. Now Gomez started in right back last game and Frimpong also came on and got an assist. So there is that depth again in that right back spot which affords Szoboszlai to play more advanced. And obviously got the assist off the corner, he's on the direct free kick, so there's quite a few routes to points of him. There's not a lot in it though, so 14.4 points for Szoboszlai, next 3, 14.4, and then Tavernier 14.3, Sharda 14.1, Dango and Wilson 13.8. Now when it's extremely close between multiple players, you can kind of take a view on it accordingly. So Dango, Wilson, Szoboszlai, they're basically all even, and if you want the maximum upside then you go Dango because he's the lowest owned. Or if you're kind of happy for that slow and steady gains, then Wilson. Dango's about 2% owned, while Wilson's 22%. Or it's an even bigger gap when you look at effective ownership, which includes the ownership at specific rank tiers and captaincy. Like for example, top 10k last game week, Wilson was just under 40% owned, effective ownership, which is quite substantial, and I'm sure that's going to be a lot higher after that goal and assist, unless he's ruled out of an injury. If you're ranking them best to worst, so Szoboszlai, Tavernier, Sharda, Dango, Wilson, what would be your order? So Szoboszlai, Tavernier, Sharda, Dango, Wilson, they're the 5. My personal order, best to worst, would be Wilson, Szoboszlai, Dango, Tavernier, and then Sharda. And that's the great thing, when it's so close between players, like you can kind of form your own opinions based on your own beliefs. It's not like there's a massive difference in projected points that's too much to ignore. But obviously it does depend on Wilson. So he went down around the 70th minute in the game against Spurs. He was wincing before the substitution. And then he got up and he had a bit of a limp as he went off. He was limping as well at full time with his coat on, coming back on the pitch doing a lap. And Marco Silva also said he twisted his ankle, and they'll have to see how he is in the next few days. So yeah, that's one to keep an eye on if you've got him or if you're thinking of buying, because obviously he did get the goal and assist, double-digit return. What you definitely don't do is make an early transfer in a week like this when there's a lot up in the air. Tuesday's press conferences are going to reveal a lot in all likelihood. So onto the forwards, and due to Haaland's flag, his projections have dipped a little bit. Assuming that we get a positive update nearer the time, then Haaland would move up top to 6.7 points, which would be top of all players for Game Week 29. Pep said the following on Haaland when he was asked post-match: "I don't know when Haaland will come back," but then he said it's not a big injury, but he wasn't ready to play versus Leeds. And then there's another quote as well that you might not have seen. So he said, 2 days ago, in the last moments of training, he had some problems, a little injury. It's not a big issue, but he's not ready for today. And then a Norwegian presenter and a former player suggested that he's expected back for the Forest game, so that's some sort of breadcrumb there. Whatever you do, just don't make an early move, as I said earlier. The press conferences on Tuesday are going to be really important this week, given the flags we've got on the likes of Haaland, O'Reilly, Anderson, maybe Wilson. I'll be following very closely, given I've got 3 of those, plus I've got Mukiele flagged. Unfortunately, Wirtz is very likely to be out as well, based on what Slot said, but he'll be asked, I'm sure. So, with the Haaland flag as it stands, Ekitike is therefore top on 5.5 projected points, and he looks like the obvious replacement if he already owned Thiago, that is. Otherwise, I think Thiago is probably the more sensible one, given his nailedness and no European football to contend with. Liverpool have to play 6 games in 18 days from the Game Week 29 fixture, so there is a chance that he gets managed somewhere. It probably will happen. It might not be in the league, in fairness, but it's something to consider. Hear me out for a sec here. Calvert-Lewin actually looks viable if you're planning to wildcard in Game Week 32. So his next 3 fixtures, these are the next 3 for Leeds. They've got Sunderland home, they've got Palace away, and they've got Brentford home. Now it's only 3 game weeks, and all 3 are actually pretty good fixtures. And then I think Raul would be the other one that lots are looking at short term, because Fulham have got West Ham home, Forest away, Burnley home. It's just a question mark over Raul's minutes, midweek in particular, given his age, and Silva has been managing him when possible, and he does have Muniz back available now. That's the extent of the forwards pool I think I would look at right now if I was wildcarding or just making a transfer this week. Ekitike, Haaland, Thiago, Calvert-Lewin and Raul. What are your planned transfer, guys? Leave a comment below and make sure you subscribe and hit the button below. I'll be back on Monday morning with my Gameweek 29 team selection video and plans, and then the experts video to follow later on Monday. Thanks for watching as always. See you soon for the next one.